success, money, income, sales, love, health, all the good things. 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious beliefs. You have to take full responsibility for everything in your life. This doesn't mean spiritually bypassing yourself. This doesn't mean taking responsibility for other people's behavior. This means taking responsibility for you, your state, and how you are creating your life and how you are choosing to respond to life. No limiting belief is inherently true, because this is what beliefs do, because they create reality and then they keep on churning the same patterns over and over and over again. So if you are actively reprogramming your mind at night, reality has no other choice but to show you your new beliefs. Hi guys, and welcome to this episode. I'm so excited for this episode for you because you're going to learn some really cool things. So some of you may already know that I'm a certified subconscious reprogrammer through the modality of ThetaHealing, and this modality has just completely changed my life. And what we're going to dive into today is how you can subconsciously reprogram yourself so that your life shows you on autopilot success, money, income, sales, love, health, all the good things. So in today's episode, I'm going to take you through a really simple practice of how you can subconsciously reprogram yourself. Because what I see in society and with a lot of people, they believe they can't access their subconscious programs. They believe I can't do this myself. It's too hard. It's too difficult. But guess what? It's not. And with this really simple step-by-step process, you're going to be able to reprogram your reality so that it will reflect back to you all the things that you desire. Because the thing is, you are constantly curating your life by your beliefs all the time anyways, so we might as well become intentional and create our life by design. Okay, so before we dive in, why the subconscious? Why are we focusing on the subconscious? Why don't just do affirmations and other things in order to create our dream reality, right? Why do we have to focus on the subconscious? Well, 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious beliefs. I know you've heard me say it before. I keep on saying it. I'm going to say it again and again and again because think about it. 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious beliefs. So if life is a video game and there's a way to hack the code and to make the game work for you instead of against you, then we might as well go to the motherboard and change the coding around there. Because you can literally reprogram your life to be the way that you want it to be. So 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious beliefs. And don't get too hung up on the negative ones, on the limiting ones, and oh no, I have negative limiting beliefs. Guess what? You chose them all. You are the creator of your reality. You chose the challenges in your life. And I know it can be easy and it can be so satisfying to be in the victimhood sometimes. But if you really want to create some drastic change in your life, you have to take full responsibility for everything in your life. This doesn't mean spiritually bypassing yourself. This doesn't mean taking responsibility for other people's behavior. This means taking responsibility for you, your state, and how you are creating your life and how you are choosing to respond to life. So, like I said, there's positive and negative ones. So we have them all. You probably have a lot of positive beliefs. If you are an entrepreneurial woman, maybe you've had lots of success financially, maybe you've had some good relationships, maybe you've had some challenging relationships, maybe you've had some really good business experiences, maybe you've had some negative business experiences. We live in a world of complexity, and that's okay. But for today, I'm going to focus on the limiting beliefs, how you can find your limiting beliefs, and how you can change them into positive beliefs so that you can have more deliberate control over your reality. And what this will do for you is that it will take you out of a position of victimhood and put you in a seat of control of your life. And when I mean control, I don't mean micromanaging, I don't mean dominating, I mean being able to just exercise your free will and have autonomy over your reality. So that can mean actually realizing your vision board, actually making the money that you want to make, actually having the relationships that you want to have, actually having the health that you desire to have. Because so many people have their dreams staying in dreamland and they just never collapse into this field. because they haven't learned this process. So where do our limiting beliefs come from? Our limiting beliefs come mostly from childhood. So you've heard things from parents, you hear things from school, you hear things from peers, you hear things from society, you hear things on the news, and it all gives us these impressions, and then we take them on as truth. So if you heard growing up from your parents, you're so amazing, you can achieve anything, we love you no matter what, that will be installed in you. If you hear from your parents, you're not going to be able to do anything, you're a loser, etc., 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 then we got to unwind all of that and reprogram that, right? Because as children, we just take everything on as truth, even if it's not. So the thing with limiting beliefs is that no limiting belief is inherently true. Limiting beliefs will make you feel like they're true. The stories that they will come up with in your head will make it feel like they're true. And because they feel true, anything that feels real is just as real as real. So this is how we're going to unpack this. I'm going to show you how you can trace back to the belief and completely eliminate it. And another thing to know too is that all beliefs will try to reinforce themselves and validate themselves, regardless of if they're positive or negative. So all of your positive beliefs will keep on showing up for you because this is what beliefs do, because they create reality. And your negative beliefs will keep on showing you that they're real one way or another until you're able to catch them and change them. Let's go into discovering your limiting beliefs. This is where most people don't even start. Most people just swim around in the limiting beliefs and they don't even know that they have them. They don't know what's causing them. They don't know what they're causing. And then they keep on churning the same patterns over and over and over again. Maybe you hit a money ceiling and you can only make $2,000 a month, or you can only make $5,000 a month, or you can only make $20,000 a month, or maybe you're at 100K and you want to get to 1 million. So there's some belief that's in place that's keeping you at a certain place. Or with relationships, maybe you're attracting emotionally unavailable men. Maybe you're attracting the same dysfunctional pattern in relationship over and over again. These stem from limiting beliefs. So this is how reality works. Now you want to pay close attention to this. So like I said, now we're going to discover limiting beliefs. This is step number 1. 95% of your reality is created by your beliefs. So it goes like this. Belief feeds into thought, feeds into emotion, feeds into action, feeds into reality. That's the sequence. Belief, thought, emotion, action, reality. You can't have any emotion without a belief. You can't have a certain thought without there being a belief behind it. The belief is the starting point. So a belief turns into a thought, which turns into feeling, which turns into action, which turns into result. So to discover your belief, you can trace back from your reality. You can start there. What is my reality reflecting back to me that I believe about myself? And an easier way to go about it too is start with how you're feeling. If there's a particular situation that you're going through and it's making you feel a certain way, then here's where you want to grab a pen and a piece of paper. For this is step number 1, finding your limiting belief. What are you feeling right now? What are you feeling about this situation, right? Maybe you have a money ceiling problem. Maybe you're making 10K per month, but you want to make 20 and you just can't seem to push through that, no matter how much you're trying. How is that making you feel? So write down the feeling. Number 1, feeling. What am I feeling? Frustrated. I'm just coming up with examples here. Frustrated, annoyed, sad, shame, guilt. Okay, feelings. Secondly, now you want to go into the thoughts. So can you see how we're tracing backwards to get to the belief? So after your feelings, now you're going to write down your thoughts. What are you feeling? Let's say you've been trying to double your income for 6 months and you haven't been able to do it. What are your thoughts? This is too hard, takes too much time, I'm not good enough, this is exhausting, I'm never going to make it. And this is going to trickle into your beliefs. And you're probably going to find some overlap sometimes between your beliefs and your thoughts. But remember to take it all the way to beliefs. Now go down to beliefs. What must I be thinking about myself to create this reality? So I said one there already. I'm not good enough. That's usually a deep one. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of 20K per month. The tax man's going to come after me and I'll fail. It's too much responsibility. I'm not good with responsibility. So the beliefs is usually I statements. I'm not good enough. I can't handle it. I'm bad with responsibility. I don't deserve this. etc. So it's not, my mom always told me that 20K is too much and the money, blah, blah, blah. It's usually something to do with you or your perspective of something. So if it's your perspective that money is evil, for example, you might have that belief, money is evil, then that's your belief about money. So now you've traced it back to the belief. Okay, here we go. We're getting to somewhere. Most people don't do this. Most people just go, maybe they have some awareness of the thought, oh, yeah, money's bad anyway, so why would I even try? And then they don't address that. Like it came up in their field. Well, someone else's deserves it. Or if you're at a job and you need a raise, no, but Susie's going to get the raise before me because she's better at me and I don't deserve a raise anyways. So I'm not even going to bother asking for a raise. Do you see the blah, 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 blah? Like we don't catch ourselves enough. Take a moment to sit down with a particular area in your life that you want to change. This is your moment to change it. And a limiting belief is going to come up and say, can't be that easy. And that limiting belief will make you feel like it's real because limiting beliefs will continuously want to self-perpetuate and validate themselves, right? So do this process to find your limiting beliefs. You trace from feeling to thought to belief. Just sit down and do it. I promise you, you will not regret it. See what you discover. So just to go a little deeper to unpack our limiting beliefs, I want you to become aware of how they show up, the limiting ones. So limiting beliefs will often show up in our behavior. So you can see when a limiting belief is coming up when you are procrastinating, when you're blaming other people, when you're wallowing in self-doubt, when you're actively participating in self-sabotage. Usually there's limiting beliefs behind that. And again, there's nothing wrong with you. The limiting belief is just trying to protect you from some experience that you've had in the past, and it's projecting that into the future. But this is the stage of evolution that we're in. There is no past and the future, there's only the now. We're only talking about parallel timelines, and what I'm helping you discover is how to parallel timeline jump instead of projecting from the so-called past. Because then you're just recreating the same patterns over and over and over again. And yes, you can absolutely become a master at this. Let that sink in. Instead of allowing the pain from the past to project into creating a negative future, you can eliminate the past and the future, metaphorically speaking, and create an entirely new parallel version for yourself. And fears can come up like, oh, I'll lose myself, I'll lose my friends, and all of that. It's just more limiting beliefs. Don't you worry. You are an internal, indestructible being. You are source energy. The frequency of who you are, the core of who you are, cannot change or cannot be destroyed. So take on this lens of having fun with reality because limiting beliefs are not true. And the thing is, once you do this process and you discover them, you write them down, once you actually have a look at them with your common sense self, for it may be, let's say you wrote down, I'm not worthy of 20K. When you find out your limiting beliefs, you will discover that they are nonsensical and they will be rendered obsolete. So this is why most people are too afraid to look at their limiting beliefs because they think that they will realize that the limiting belief is true. So the limiting belief is gonna, oh, don't do this belief thing because then you will realize that you're unworthy. And here's the funny thing, it will prevent you from looking at the limiting belief because it's so scared that if you look at the limiting belief, you will realize that it's true, which is impossible because no limiting beliefs are inherently true. But this is what it does, and this is why it's hard for people to look at their own subconscious, is because it will feel like death. That's the fear. The limiting belief is so scared that you will realize that you are unworthy, that you will realize that you are doomed and destined for the void for eternity and die. These things are not true, but the limiting belief will make it feel like that's what's going to happen. That's why people avoid looking at the limiting beliefs. But looking at limiting beliefs is like shining a flashlight in a dark room. You're just going to discover what's there. There's just going to be more light. So once you discover limiting beliefs, you will realize that they are nonsensical. Because when you really look at it, our limiting beliefs don't make any sense. I'm unworthy. You are worthy purely by existing. You wouldn't even be here if it would be impossible for you to exist if you weren't worthy of existence. Your worthiness is inherent in you. You couldn't be alive if you weren't worthy. You are part of unconditional love, all that is this whole experience, and your worthiness is not dependent on anything that you do or perform or be. You are worthy just as you are. So this is the same with all limiting beliefs. Money is evil. Not true. Money does a lot of good things in the world. And the list goes on for all these limiting beliefs. Oh, it's too hard to make a lot of money. There's 13-year-olds on TikToks today that make millions of dollars doing dance movies. In today's age, it's really not that hard to make money. So every limiting belief can be rendered as obsolete. You have to be willing to do that. And the limiting belief you had will try to cling on and be like, no, I'm true because mom and dad told me that it's hard to make money, you know. So ignore the millions of other people who are making millions of dollars. Do you see? So have a willingness to be playful and open and curious, discover your limiting belief, and see that they can be rendered as obsolete with love. So I also want to go a little deeper here because limiting beliefs are like a bag of tricks, and they will play some fun tricks with you. And this is really interesting, so I want you to listen to this because now you get to have a scientific and fun and experimental view on your limiting beliefs instead of, oh, there's something wrong with me and now I've got to go fix my limiting beliefs. No, you can have a fun, positive perspective and look at this really interesting mechanism that takes place in everyone's mind. So, limiting beliefs are a bag of tricks that keep you stuck. And they have a plethora of strategies for you to not discover them. And this is what they do. I'm gonna tell you right now. So limiting beliefs, they will do 6 things, basically. Limiting beliefs will reject. So what do I mean with that? Limiting beliefs will reject advice. They will reject other people helping. They will reject positive beliefs. They will reject anything that could come in and try to change them. And for example, in sales and in business, if you're working with a prospect and they're like, no, this is too difficult for me, and that's too much money, and it's too hard for me. And then you tell them how it can be made really easy for them and how they can make the money back, or the game plan for how it could all work out for them, and they have all the time and energy that it needs to make it all happen. They will reject any logical advice to hold on to the limiting belief. Another thing they will do is go into paranoia. Number 2 is paranoia. So let's say you have been invited to have a presentation somewhere at a big event. And if you have a limiting belief around public speaking, then the paranoia will go, oh my God, I will go there, I will puke on the stage, I will make a total mess out of myself, I will make a total fool out of myself, and then I'll never want to be seen on this planet ever again, and it will go into extremes. And it's not about not having any fear. It's not about, oh, I just got to be so confident all the time. Anyone who goes on stage has butterflies and feel nervous, of course. But it's about not going into the extreme state of paranoia that will prevent you from moving forward. So limiting beliefs will use these 6 things to keep you stuck. So like I said, number 1, it will reject any outside advice. Maybe you've had that kind of girlfriend who keeps dating terrible guys, and when you try to give her advice on how to pick better men, she just rejects it. Oh no, oh, but he was this and that, and stories. Paranoia, oh, the worst thing's gonna happen. The third thing is rationalize. So, oh well, it makes sense that I can't do that because I'm really busy and I should prioritize my family and other things. So I shouldn't be having a talk, and it's more important that we focus on my husband's business right now, and I would be a bad mom if I left the house for a day to have a talk somewhere. And it would rationalize and come up with all of these reasons for why you shouldn't do the thing, again, to keep you stuck. And then it's justify. Well, no, I can't do that because I've never had a talk on stage before, so I'm just going to justify and come up with all of these reasons, and I haven't had enough training, I'm not smart enough, I'm not eloquent enough, so I can't do that. Justify. And the 2 last ones here. The 5th one is it will project. So the negative belief will project this terrible future that feels so real. Oh, if I go on stage and I have a talk, and if I mess it up, I will lose my job and they will fire me and I will lose all of my money. Negative projection. And here's the kicker. The last thing, number 6, that a limiting belief will do is it will reward you for inaction. So let's say you stayed in, you didn't do the talk, you stayed at home and you had a bag of cookies and you comfort ate and you're like, oh, thank God I didn't have that talk on stage. I managed to dodge that bullet, didn't make a total fool of myself. Thank God. And then it will reward you for not having done it. And this is the really, really, really sneaky, tricky one. It will reward you. And all of these 6 things it will do to keep you stuck. And again, it's a survival mechanism. Back in the day, when there was tigers and you went outside and you could die, it made sense that limiting beliefs would say, don't go outside, just stay in here because you might die. But we're not in that age anymore. We're in an age where we can actually let go of a lot of our limiting beliefs. So with positive beliefs, those are negative beliefs. What happens with your positive beliefs? In positive beliefs, there's growth, there's freedom, there's choice, there's inspiration, there's expansion. So same example, talking on stage. Okay, might be a little nervous. Ooh, gotta prepare for this. Might be a little nervous. But with a positive belief of, for example, this is a little scary, but I can do it. Then there's choice, right? Okay, I'm gonna choose. And then maybe you choose to do it. And because you did it, you got invited to another talk. And then because you made the talk on stage, you have 50 people reaching out to you to collaborate. More choice. And then because of that, there's more growth. And that all of these choices lead to more growth and expansion and freedom. And then because you did it, now you feel inspired. Wow, I had the talk. Maybe I'll do more of this. I actually really like talking. Maybe I'll start a podcast. You know, there's more inspiration that will come from it. So you have a lot of positive beliefs, and this is the cycle of positive belief is growth, freedom, choice, expansion, inspiration, and that, creates a totally different reality. So you can subconsciously reprogram yourself to go from contraction and staying stuck into expansion. Okay. So you might be like, well, now let's do the reprogramming. This is a part of it, and I'm going to take you to the next step. That's really, really, really crucial of the subconscious reprogramming. So just a little recap, step number 1, sit down, figure it out. What is it that I'm believing about myself? Have some self-investigation. You can figure it out. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Write down your thoughts. What am I believing about myself? Boom. Ooh, there they are. Render them as obsolete. And you can have an evaluation of the things that I just shared with you and see, where are you justifying? Where are you defending? Where are you rationalizing? Where are you going into these ways to try to self-preserve a limiting belief? That's when you can see that you have a limiting belief, right? So now that you've discovered your limiting belief, we're going to do something fun. And before we do that, I just want to congratulate you because you are a part of a great awakening. People did not have the ability to do this before. Anything with quantum science and metaphysical abilities, even just 20 years ago, were not common stream. Like, most people didn't know how to do this. Most people were just slumbering around in their limiting beliefs and weren't even aware that they had limiting beliefs. It just was the way that it was. And now you can take full charge of your life, of your reality, and have fun with it. So the good news about this, because you might be like, oh, that sounds really like, man, I just have to find my negative belief and then I just know what my negative belief is and then I'm just there and that just feels shitty. No, when you get to that point, you are at a great point. So when you've discovered your negative belief, you are now at the point of choice. Because for every limiting belief, there is an opposite positive belief. And you can now choose. You now have autonomy. You now have a choice. Before you didn't have a choice. And here is the thing. You do have choice. You can choose. And I'm going to tell you how you can choose in a second. So you wouldn't have been able to have this choice if you didn't bring yourself to the awareness of the negative belief. And you can flip it around. And it's from this place that you can manifest and transform. And I'm going to remind you of this, and this will give you a bit of an aha moment, because 95% of your reality is created by your subconscious beliefs every nanosecond all the time anyways. This is how reality works. So it's not like reality is working in a way and then sometimes your beliefs are kind of coming in. Your beliefs are creating reality all the time anyways. So if you are creating your reality with your beliefs all the time anyways, you might as well sit down and become more deliberate and choose different beliefs and therefore different reality timeframes, right? Because it's happening anyways. So if the mechanism is already in place, you might as well be a part of choosing the outcome of the mechanism. Okay, here comes the second half where you can change your reality. And this is super exciting. So guess what? There's so much science now backing everything up, even though we don't need science to prove this because it works anyways, but it's great to have the data. But you have brain plasticity. It's not true what they say that, oh, once you're 25, your brain is solidified and it can never change. You have brain plasticity. You have the neurons in your brain can change all the time. Literally, there's so much science and brain scans showing this now through visualization, through meditation, that you can change your brain. You can literally change your brain and you can change your limiting beliefs. It's true, 100% fact, proven. So here's the exercise that I want you to do. So you've done the first half, you've discovered your limiting belief. You now know that there's a choice. You can choose the negative and the positive. And to get into the changing of your brain, I want you to do this exercise. So after you've found your negative belief, now you want to flip it, right? So what do you want instead? What do you want instead of the negative belief? And in order to really get into that state of what you desire, because everything that you desire is meant for you, I want you to do a 15-minute visualization. So make sure that you're somewhere safe, you're somewhere calm, where you can really get into a nice trance state. You know, you're not driving a car or anything like that. Just get into a nice meditative state. And this is not another, morning routine thing that you have to do every day that's going to take up lots of time because now we're bombarded with so many things that we need to do every day. You can do this right before you go to sleep. And I'm going to tell you why that's a really good time to do it in a second. So 15-minute visualization. What I want you to do is I want you to visualize the reality that you want to have for yourself, the experience that you want to have. Maybe it's making 100K per month. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How is that coming in? Where is it coming from? How are you waking up in the morning? What does your day look like? Who are you hanging out with? How are you spending your money? Or if it's a relationship, what's the person like? How do you feel in the relationship? What are you doing together? Flesh it all out. Put on some music if you want to. Fully live it out in this 15-minute visualization. And then what I want you to do in this visualization, I want you to take yourself to the peak experience where it just feels like, oh, perfect, complete. And here's what I want you to do. After this peak experience, I want you to completely drop it. You have to let go of any and all expectation of this reality. This is just how it works in this universe. I know. It's like all of the things that we're so attached to that we want, it just never comes. And as soon as we let go of the attachment, it comes in. It's just how it works. And quantum science, metaphysical language coming in here, it's shown that once you let go of the attachment, it will collapse from a waveform into a particle. So basically, you're making the unseen seen. You're making a parallel reality collapse into physical reality here. And the thing is, you're not creating anything new. All parallel timelines exist at once. And it's not woo-woo talk, it's true talk. Everything exists. What you're doing when you're doing this subconscious, you're programming on yourself and you're doing this visualization and you go, I want that, and then you just fully let it go, like you just send it off to the creator and say, you sort it out for me. I have full trust and faith. You figure it out. You just release yourself from that responsibility of having to create it because it's not for you and your physical mind to create. You just send it out and then you act on your excitement. Again, acting, you have to act, of course. You can't go into the woods and hide in the woods with no phone and no laptop and no connection to anyone and be like, I want $1 million. You have to make yourself available to receive it. So bring yourself to the peak, let go, completely let go, and then it will collapse into particles. The reason I want you to do this meditation and visualization and as much as you can is because it's much easier for you to imprint your subconscious with new beliefs when you do it like this. And here's a bonus point. I mentioned do it before you go to sleep. Why? Because when we're in daytime and we're drinking coffee and matcha and we're going go, we're in alpha beta brainwaves. Before you go to sleep and right before you drop down into delta to sleep, you go into theta brainwaves. And when you're in theta, that's when you can access your subconscious mind. This is why theta healing is called theta healing. When you get your brain into a theta brainwave, you can access your subconscious. The door is open. So do it before you go to sleep. Put on some nice music or not, and just take yourself to a really nice place. This doesn't require anything from you. You're going to be laying in bed anyways. You're going to be closing your eyes anyways. You're going to be in a quiet environment anyways. There's no like having to put your phone away or tell the kids to get out because you're going to do this thing. Just do it before you go to sleep. Like, you can actually do this every single night. And I promise you, if you do this, coupled with finding your belief and then flipping it and doing this visualization, your life will become very different. Like, it will change. Things will change. Why? Because you are actively reprogramming your subconscious, and beliefs will come up. Oh, it can't be that easy. That's just another belief. Trust me, I've done this a lot. So if you are actively reprogramming your mind at night, reality has no other choice but to show you your new beliefs, because that's how reality works. It's not a desire, it's not an opinion, it's just fact. That's how reality works, because 95% of reality is created by your beliefs. So if you are changing your beliefs every single night before you go to sleep, guess what? You're going to wake up, every day is going to be a little bit different. And when you begin to see the changes and feel the changes and experience the changes, because reality has to reflect you, your new beliefs, things start to get really interesting. And you're going to be like, I'm onto something here. You're going to be like, have I cracked the code? I think I've cracked the code. This is pretty cool. I'm going to keep on doing this. And again, little reminder, always keep it to yourself. And theta healing is always done in the greatest good for all that is. We never want to inflict harm on anyone else. You won't be able to do it that way anyways, because you can only work on your limiting beliefs. You can't change limiting beliefs for other people. This is for you and for your greatest good. So that was my subconscious reprogramming episode for you here today. Do this over and over and over again. Please share it with friends who could find this helpful, if they need help in their businesses, if they need help in their life, in their relationships, in their health. This can be applied to anything, but definitely use it in your business. So please subscribe. If you want more episodes like this, give me a comment, give me a like, and I will see you in the next episode.